break for Maghrib as we did yesterday. And after Maghrib we'll have the questions and answers. And hopefully we may have some refreshment as well at the end. جزاكم الله خيرا الشيخ حسن شيباني.
بارك الله فيك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. إخواني وأخواتي, dear brothers and sisters, our deen is a complete way of life. So the tenets of our faith and the teachings of our Sharia cover all aspects of our daily life. And Islam as a religion is composed of two main areas of study: the area of Aqidah, where we study the tenets of faith, Arkan Al-Iman, belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger, in the Day of Judgment, in Al-Qadr Khayri wa Sharrih, in the books of Allah, the prophets and messengers, and also any related matter classified as a mas'ala or a matter of Aqidah. And we have the area of Sharia, where we study the acts of ibadat, and also we have the chapter of Mu'amalat. Mu'amalat could be our interactions within the fiqh of family method issues, or it could be al-jinayat, which the courts have to deal with this code of punishment, and also we have fiqh al-mu'amalat, fiqh of business transactions. So Muslims need to know in this chapter, the fiqh of business transactions, they need to be familiar with three main prohibitions of Sharia. The first one is riba, which is called here interest, and the right translation is usury. But interest here is a form of riba, but there are different types of riba, different forms of riba that are mentioned in the Sharia, and they are not included, they are not classified as interest in the society, in this culture. And we have al-gharar, the second main prohibition, al-gharar, which is uncertainty in business transactions. When you conclude or you do a contract, but you don't know the outcomes of this contract, what are you going to get? What will be the end result? You're not sure, you're not confident. You're kind of gambling here. So this is called gharar in Arabic, and we'll talk about it today. And the third main prohibition is oppression, which is injustice in business transactions. So we'll try to focus tonight on riba and al-gharar, and we'll talk about some different examples, inshallah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Basically, there are two types of riba. Riba arising from debts and loans, and this is called in Arabic riba duyun. And riba in business transaction. The first type of riba was mentioned in the Quran. The second one was not mentioned in the Quran, it was mentioned in the Sunnah. Rasulullah ﷺ talked about it in the hadith that are collected by Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, and they are well documented, and they are found in the books of hadith. So the first one is riba duyun. This is one classification. There is another classification that you will find in the books of fiqh. They talk about riba and nasi'a, which is riba of delay. The delay of delivering, for example, the counter value in currency exchange, money exchange, if you are exchanging money, for example, or exchanging a type of ribawi item that was mentioned in the hadith, dates or wheat or barley or salt or anything that has a similar nature. And we have riba al-fadl, riba of increase, and I will give you examples here. If I exchange مثلا 1,000 Canadian dollar with $1,200 American dollar. This is fine because the two currencies are different. So this increase is fine, is accepted by the Sharia. But Rasulullah said that you have to do it on the spot, hand to hand. He mentioned this in many ahadith, yadan biyad, yadan bayad, in many ahadith. So that within this transaction, the possession has to be immediate. You cannot delay it. And that's why if we do it, it will be riba and nasi'a, riba of delay. So now if I exchange a bill of $20 Canadian with 25, someone wants to change $20 for me, I need a change, and he tells me, no, I'm not going to give you $20, you give me 25, because I'm helping you and giving you a change. But here money is the same currency, same genus. So Rasulullah said it has to be at par value. You cannot exchange money that belongs to the same genus, same currency. You cannot exchange it with different values. It has to be at par value. So you exchange $20 with another $20. If you do that, it will be riba al-fadl. There is an increase that is not justified in Sharia. There is nothing to justify this increase. No liability, no work, no effort, no risk. There is nothing that justifies this increase here because you are exchanging Canadian money with Canadian money. But if you are exchanging Canadian with American, there is a justification for this increase. This money has a different value. It belongs to a different economy, a different genus, different country. And ulama has classified these currencies. They said every currency has its own, it's a different entirety. Now, but when we talked about this, this is something that we need to know, that the worst types of riba is the riba mentioned in the Quran, riba al-duyun. And this is the worst type of riba, arising from debts and loans. And it was determined as a predetermined increase in the repayment of loans and debts. Any predetermined. So you have to pay attention to this predetermined. That means it is agreed upon. If it is not agreed upon, it becomes halal. If I take from Brother Uthman a loan for 1,000, when at time of repayment, I give him $1,050. And Uthman tells me, what is this $50? This is riba. I tell him this is not riba because you didn't agree. We didn't agree about it. You didn't ask for it. I'm giving to you as a gift. At the time of repayment, not during the time of the loan, not before the repayment of the loan. Because if it is before the repayment of the loan, it could be doubtful here. I'm mixing the loan with a gift. But because Rasulullah said if someone gives you a loan, or you give someone a loan and he offers something, he didn't have the habit of exchanging gifts, give you something, refuse to take it, don't take it. It could be a benefit that is related, attached to this loan. But what is the proof that at the time of repayment, I can be generous with my brother? At the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, someone came and actually Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he took a loan from someone, a young camel that was 2 years old, young camel. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam took it as a loan from someone. At the time of repayment, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told to his companion Abu Rafi', go and pay him his loan, give him another camel. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, I didn't find the same camel, the same age, same quality. I found a camel that has 4 years old and it's better, way better than his camel. And he said, give him this camel. And then he made the statement, he said, أحسن إن خيار الناس أحسنهم قضاءً. He said, the best among people are those who are generous when they repay their loans, when they pay back their loans. The best among people are those who are generous when they pay back their loans. But this is not a requirement. This is not something that was agreed upon. If it becomes a requirement from the lender or a condition imposed by the lender, then it is a form of riba. And this is the riba duyun. Because at the time of Jahiliyyah, there are around three scenarios that used to take place. They would give a loan, one person would give a loan to someone, and tells him that you need to pay every month some interest, some increase, some extra money above the capital. And at the end of 1 year, he has to pay him back the capital, but he has generated some income on a monthly basis. Or the second scenario, they would do a credit sale. Credit sale, there is at the end of the credit sale, there will be a debt obligation. But I sold you a camel or a car, and you didn't pay me on the spot. It's a credit sale, so you have to pay. You agreed that you pay me within 6 months, and after 6 months, Brother Rahman comes to me and said, I don't have enough money to pay you back. We agreed that I should pay you within 6 months, but I don't have enough money. I said, okay, I will give you another 6 months, but you increase the payment. You're supposed to pay me like 2,000, you pay me 2,400. This 400 is riba, this increase, predetermined increase in the repayment of loans and debts, right? So this is clear. This is riba and nasi'ah here. Nasi'ah because I give him time, I give him a delay, and I increased, and there is riba al-fadl too. And in general, it is called riba duyun. Duyun in Arabic means loans or debts, and this is what was mentioned in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah and other surah. And that's why in Surah Al-Baqarah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِن تُبْتُمْ فَلَكُمْ رُؤُوسُ أَمْوَالِكُمْ لَا تَظْلِمُونَ وَلَا تُظْلَمُونَ. Said, but if you repent, then you will have your capital. Neither should you make injustice, is what Allah said. If you make tawbah from riba, if you repent, then you have the right to take your capital back, the principal amount. Neither should you make injustice, nor should you be subjected to it. And you don't oppress other people, and you don't accept to be subjected to this injustice. You take your capital. You don't take your money, you don't take an increase from them, an extra amount from them. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah, and you find this in 279, in the ayat, one page talking about the ayat of riba, from 275, from 281. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started this ayat, الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ الرِّبَا لَا يَقُومُونَ إِلَّا كَمَا يَقُومُ الَّذِي يَتَخَبَّطُهُ الشَّيْطَانُ مِنَ الْمَسِّ. Those who consume riba will not raise or will not stand up on the Day of Judgment except like someone who was beaten by shaitan. Like they will be like crazy people on the Day of Judgment. When they stand up in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, people will be standing up normally, but these people will be like crazy people, like insane people who were beaten by shaitan. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as-salamata wal-afiyah. Now the second type of riba, riba al-buyu' that was mentioned in the Sunnah. Riba in business transaction, the main proof for it is not in the Quran, is in the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then we have the hadith here from Sahih Muslim. He said, gold for gold, silver for silver, wheat for wheat, barley for barley, dates for dates, salt for salt, light for light, equal for equal, hand to hand. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if these commodities differ, then you may sell as you wish, provided that it is hand to hand. But if you exchange dates with barley, but this applies. These rules here about food, talking about food, apply to a barter economy. We're not a barter economy. We don't exchange nowadays dates with dates or salt with salt. But we are concerned with the other second part of this hadith, money. Because in this hadith, he mentioned gold and silver. So our ulama, rahmatullahi alayhim, they spend a lot of time, classical scholars and contemporary scholars, studying those ahadith. And they classified those items into two groups. The first group is gold and silver. And then they classified the second group here. We have salt, we have dates, and we have wheat and barley. So they said, what is the illah? Because in every sharia ruling, there is a illah that caused the hukum. There is a reason. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala built the sharia ruling based on this illah. If this illah is caused, is not found, then the ruling is not there. Like khamr. Khamr is haram because of intoxication. If intoxication is not there, then this product or substance should be halal. And khamr or anything related to it, similar to it, was made haram because of intoxication. So they came to this hadith and they said, what is the illah? What is the illah that caused this sharia ruling? They looked at gold and silver and they said, Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned gold and silver because they are money. They are a medium of exchange at that time. At that time, Rasulullah ﷺ, people before, actually during the pre-Islamic era, they used to use golden dinars, minted in the Roman Empire. And they used to use dirham, minted in Persia. That was their currency at that time, gold and silver. We'll talk about it, money or nature, a little bit about the nature of money in Islam and the history of money in Islam. But that was their currency at that time. That's why Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned gold and silver. So the ulama, they said, any medium of exchange, any type of money should be subjected to the rules of riba, based on those ahadith that Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned. And they looked at the second group of items, the agreement between the scholars, the area of agreement. There are differences between Imam Malik, Shafi'i, Abu Hanifa, slight differences in the description of these items, food items. Imam Shafi'i believes all types of food should be subjected to the rules of riba, because Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned in the second group, all of them are food items. Well, Imam Malik, no, he believes it has to be a food, staple food. It has to be a basic food. If it is a luxury, if it is a fruit, candy, it shouldn't be subjected to the rules of riba. There is an area of agreement between all the scholars. It has to be food items. So if you are dealing with auto parts, don't worry. Exchange auto parts with auto parts is not, there is no riba here. If you are dealing with electronic items, don't worry about it. If you are exchanging two cars with one car, don't worry about it. If you are exchanging, because sometimes you exchange a car with some extra money, they give an old car with a new car and some extra money. This is halal, don't worry about it. Exchanging clothes, don't worry about it. So if you're dealing with money or food, you raise the red flag. Here you have to be careful. You have to be careful here. If you are dealing with money and food, right? But money, we are more interested in money. That's why I will talk about online currency trading. Forex trading that many Muslims are doing, and they do it at home because they have access to internet. They feel this is a private matter and they don't talk about it. But at least Muslims should know about the rules of these kind of activities. Let's talk a little bit about a history of money, as I said, or the nature of money, by looking at what happened at the time of Rasulullah ﷺ and after Rasulullah ﷺ. So at the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, as I said, they used to use golden dinar minted in the Roman Empire. It was a Roman dinar. And they used to use dirham, which is made of silver. It was minted in Persia. It was a Persian dirham. But amazingly, Rasulullah ﷺ did not change the currency. He could have said that these are Roman dinars and dirham silvers. Let's collect all the gold. Let's collect all the gold that we have. Let's make our own mint, a factory, a facility that will make our own, and we'll make our own Islamic dinar. And we'll make our own Islamic dirham. And if someone tells me that Rasulullah ﷺ forgot about it, I'll tell him, no, it's impossible. He's a messenger of Allah. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him to do something, he would never leave it out. He did not pass away until he explained the whole religion to the ummah. So he did not forget about it. But he did not do it for a hikmah. And we'll know about it, inshallah, for great wisdom. You know, if Rasulullah ﷺ did it, if he changed the currency, we'll be in big troubles now. All Muslims will feel guilty nowadays because we're dealing with paper money. You feel like you're dealing with haram on a daily basis. Like you should not live on this earth. There is no gold and silver. No country is using gold and silver nowadays. All countries are using paper money. So what are Muslims going to do? You feel like you are guilty all the time. Because this is sunnah money, brother. There are some people who say this is sunnah money. We have to go back to gold and silver. Okay, that's okay if we go to gold and silver. But don't tell me sunnah money. Because these gold dinars were Roman dinars, Persian dirhams. And Rasulullah ﷺ did not change them for a reason, for a hikmah. We'll talk about it, the conclusion of the classical scholars about it. And then at the time of the Khulafa al-Rashidin, Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali, all of them did not change the currency. They didn't feel that there is a necessity to change the currency. They kept using the same money coming from the Roman Empire and from Persia. Right? And Umar radiallahu anhu made a statement, or actually he thought about something. He thought about making money out of the skin of camels. And the Sahaba who were with him, they said, إِذَنْ لَا إِبِلْ, which means camels will perish. What are you thinking about? What are you talking about? But they didn't tell him, hey, stop here. Money is only gold and silver. You cannot make money out of the skin of camels. They didn't say this. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum did not make this statement. But they told him that if you do that, then all the camels in the Arabian Peninsula will perish. They will be killed and people will be making their own money. Anyway, individuals are not supposed to make money. We'll talk about it. This is one consensus that was made by classical scholars, that individuals are not allowed to make money and it is a crime. We'll talk about it inshallah. All these things, our ulama did not forget about these things. Al-Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi, he said, I would apply the rules of riba to any type of money, even if it was made with wood or paper or anything. So they understood that money has to be a medium. If it is widely accepted in the community, in the society, a medium, widely accepted as a medium of exchange, then this is money. Whether it is made of wood or paper or gold or silver or anything. That was the understanding of the ulama. And they said that money is not desired for its sake. It is only a tool. Money is only a tool. When did we get our Islamic dinar? It was at the time of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, the Khalifa al-Umawi, the Umayyad Caliph. And it was in the year 74 after the Hijrah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So 64 years after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam passed away, we got the first Islamic dinar. And there is a story for this Islamic dinar. So at that time, Muslims used to use the Roman dinars and the Persian dirhams. And Abdul Malik ibn Marwan was the Khalifa in Damascus. And he had some interactions with the Roman Emperor at that time. He didn't have a good relationship, but they used to have some commercial exchange at that time and everything. And the Romans at that time, they used to import scrolls of paper from Egypt. And the Egyptian Copts, the Akbat, used to control this industry in Egypt. So they are the ones who used to make these scrolls of paper and export them to the Roman Empire, to Europe and different parts of Roman Empire. And they were Christians, so they used to have a logo that says that Jesus is Son of God. And Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, rahimahullah, when he knew about it, of course he didn't like it, he's a Muslim. So he gave his instructions to change this logo with the first part of Surah Al-Ikhlas. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Say, He is Allah the One. And then what happened? Then they started exporting these scrolls of paper to the Roman Empire. The Roman Emperor did not like it. He was very upset. It was like an insult to him, because he believes that Jesus is Son of God. So he threatened the Khalifa, the Muslim Khalifa, the Muslim Caliph. He said, I will print an insult on the newly minted dinars. They used to mint these dinars at that time. So he said, on the newly minted dinars, I will print an insult against your Prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So at that time, actually the Khalifa, the Muslim Khalifa at that time was thinking about making their own Islamic dinar, but that was the time when he made his final decision. He made the final decision to mint the Islamic dinar, and he printed on it like Bismillah, or so he put some Islamic expressions, and it was made of gold, of course. And he made one mint in Damascus and the second one in Egypt. And this Islamic dinar is still exists until now. I was told that it is found now it is kept in the British Museum in London. If you go to London, UK, you try to, if you have the time and you have the money, you can afford it, you can stay for a while in London, you try to go to their museums and look for this Islamic dinar. Wallahu ta'ala. I was told that it is still there, kept in one of their British museums. Anyway, but the ulama, Sheikh Islam ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Rushd, Al-Ghazali, Ibn al-Qayyim, all these classical scholars have looked into the nature of money in Islam, and they looked at the behavior of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He did not change the currency, even though it was a Roman currency and a Persian currency. He did not change it. The Khulafa al-Rashidun did not change the currency. They looked at the statement of Umar, and the Sahaba did not object to this statement. They looked at the statement of Imam Malik. They came up with the conclusion that money could have any form, but it has to be a widely accepted medium of exchange in the society, and it has to be a unit of account, and it has to be a good store of value. Unfortunately, nowadays, paper money is not a good store of value, not because there is something wrong with this money. The problem is because of the behavior, the policies of governments. They are either printing money or giving credit facilities to other banks. Central banks, they are very generous with other banks, trying to bail them out all the time to keep the economy stable, because they believe that if these banks collapse, then the whole economy will collapse. This is the only solution they have now. And they know it's not going to work. One day, someone has to pay the price. They know that. Because they're giving liabilities. You know, when you don't print money, and there is a system that is used in the banking system, it's called fractional reserve. When they keep using numbers and digital entries and everything, the amount of money could grow in the economy without any real physical presence of money in the society. And that's why we suffer from inflation. You know, there are items that I used to buy for $3 in superstore a couple of months ago, and now I'm buying them from the superstore for $7. So I'm stealing money from my pocket. Fortunately, I can do nothing without it. I can do nothing about it. But now we are concerned as Muslims, we are concerned about Sharia rulings. What can we do? How are we supposed to deal with money when we exchange money? And how should we look at money? And what are the rules and the ijma'at made by our scholars? So based on these decisions by classical scholars and the history of money in Islam, the two Muslim fiqh academies. Yeah, a brother today, he said that when you say some scholars, please mention these sources. Okay, I will tell you, these two academies are the most respected academies in the Muslim world. مجمع الفقه الإسلامي التابع لمنظمة المؤتمر الإسلامي. مجمع الفقه الإسلامي التابع لرابطة العالم الإسلامي. We have these two highest authorities in the Muslim world. The Muslim Fiqh Academy that is affiliated with OIC, Organization of Islamic Countries. The headquarters of this organization is in Jeddah. And the second one, it's a Majma' al-Fiqh al-Islami, the same name, Muslim Fiqh Academy affiliated with Rabitat al-Alam Islami, Muslim World League, and its headquarters is in Mecca. These Muslim Fiqh Academies, they are organizations, big organizations. Their members are scholars. And they are, what is good about them, they are not local scholars of Saudi Arabia, or local scholars of Egypt, or local scholars of Pakistan. They are scholars coming from all over the world. So almost every Muslim country is represented in this Muslim Fiqh Academies. And they were headed by renowned and well-respected scholars like Sheikh Ibn Baz, Sheikh Abdullah Abu Zayd, Bakr Abu Zayd, and great scholars were members. Some of them passed away, but some of them are still alive. And they're still, and when they meet and they talk about a financial issue, they are scholars of Sharia, so they don't have experience in finance. So they invite, whenever they have something issue that is not that needs some technical explanation, so they invite people who are specialized in finance. specialized. They invite, if it is a medical issue, they invite people who are specialized in, who are doctors, medical doctors. If they're dealing with a legal issue, then they invite lawyers. And they meet for 2 days, for 3 days, and they come up with decisions. Most of the time, the decisions are well respected by the rest of scholars and student knowledge in the world. So these two Muslim fiqh academies, they made a decision about the nature of money, about paper of money. And they said paper of, the money, the paper that we have, paper money now that we have, they said all rules of riba are applied, should be applied to this money because it is a medium of exchange and it is a unit of account and it is a store of value. And also the ulama of the Supreme Court in Pakistan, they confirmed their decision after that. So 3 main organizations in the Muslim world that made this, they made decision 50, 60 years ago about this paper money that we are using nowadays. Here I have to mention something else. Our ulama, some of the conclusions were made in the past, ijma', consensus. Classical scholars, they said, that individuals are not supposed to produce money. Individuals are supposed to make money. If I use the word make, it's a wrong term. I should say individuals are not supposed to produce money, to manufacture money. And they said it is a crime. This is a consensus by all ulama. There is no alim among the classical scholars who are authority in their field who said that individuals are allowed to manufacture money. It is the job of governments. And think about it, you just think about it, if individuals are allowed to produce money or manufacture money, what will happen in the society? It will be a big mess anyway. But now we'll come a little bit and talk a little bit about bitcoins. Many people are talking about bitcoins nowadays. I'm not an expert in bitcoins. There are many areas that I don't understand. Whenever I read about bitcoins, there are many questions. I come up with more questions than answers, right? But I'll tell you something. Based on these conclusions made by our scholars, that if bitcoins are not produced by a government, then there is a problem with this money. We shouldn't deal with it. And it is not safe. I know Muslims who are actually involved in this business, and they are trading bitcoins. And some of them asked me 2 months, 3 months ago, I said I don't have an answer now, wait until I look into this matter. But these are the problems that I know. And if anything is not accepted, widely accepted in the society as a medium of exchange, then this is not money. So based on our rules in Sharia, bitcoins is not money. Because it is not widely accepted. He said the only country that accepted or recognized this new currency, digital currency, cryptocurrency, is Germany. I don't know if it is true or not. I didn't verify that. I read something about it on the internet. I didn't verify it, but they said Germany has recognized this type of money. I have a strong feeling that is not based on research. When I tell you feeling, it's not based on a scholarly opinion or research. It's my personal feeling. I have to be honest with you when I give you that information. That actually governments are behind this new operation. But they don't want to take responsibility because it might collapse, it might fail. This is my personal feeling. Wallahu ta'ala alam, Allah knows best. Because if they recognize this money, new money, as an official currency, they have to take responsibility. They have to support it. That's why money that is deposited by people in the bank, it is secured through some insurance schemes. Like مثلا in the state, if someone deposits money in the bank, they secure his money up to 250,000. Over than that, I don't know how much in Canada. I was told 100,000. I don't know. I'm not sure about it. Yeah. One of the brothers, you can verify this information for us if you are involved in finance and the banking system how it works. But in the state, they said 250,000. More than that, they don't. If the bank goes into bankruptcy, if you have 300,000, the government will give you only 250,000. Government here has a responsibility to secure our money. So they don't want to take this responsibility for this new currency, Allah Ta'ala. But if it flourishes, if it is successful, Others will say actually we were behind it. Allahu Alam. They said it is the idea of a Japanese scientist who lives in California. He made a research paper about it in 1998, and then after 9 years or 10 years it was adopted, and we got the new currency in 2009. Who is working, who is behind it? Allahu Alam. Based on our rules, it is not money. It is not widely accepted as a medium of exchange, and it is not backed by governments. This is something that every Muslim should pay attention to. Allah Ta'ala. We didn't talk about that. Okay. A little bit about currency trading in forex markets. Yeah, most of the people, when they trade money online, so trading money physically, you go to, you're traveling, you go to the airport here in Victoria, and you have Canadian dollar, you need American dollar. You go to the foreign exchange, you give them your Canadian dollar, and they give you American dollar. This is halal. There is nothing wrong with that. Why? Rasulullah he said hand to hand, and it is happening hand to hand, immediately. And there is nothing wrong with that. Even if you do it with the intention of making money, like exchanging a big amount of Canadian dollar, and you have your American dollar with you, you keep it with you, and you wait for the price to change. Then you sell it again in the market. Hand to hand is halal. This has to be clear. Hand to hand, physical, delivery and possession and everything. Okay, now the other type of exchange that is happening now in trillions, it's online currency trading. And many Muslims are involved in it, they do it at home. You don't know about them, but they're doing it, and sometimes they make money, sometimes they lose, it depends. Everyone is different. Now, most of them, they do it through margin trading. So they open a margin account with a broker. They have to select a broker online, and then they open a margin account. Margin, that means they have to make a deposit. So you come as a trader, Muslim trader, you put a deposit in this account, which is $1,000. Because you don't want to trade with your own money 100,000. Or you don't have this 100,000. With 1,000 you make nothing, because the movements of prices are very small. They call them pips. Very small, decimal points. So that the broker, he will tell you, come, I'll give you a credit facility. So they will give you, most of them, it's 100%. Like 1 for 100, for each dollar you deposit with him, he will give you 100. So for 1,000, he will give you 100,000, and this is a standard lot in this market. Then you have 100,000 American, you exchange it with Japanese money. When you do the exchange online, you don't have this money in your hand. It's all numbers, you're dealing with numbers, you are trading through his platform. So you don't, you buy Japanese money. There is no delivery whatsoever. No delivery. There is no profit, no loss. You have to reverse the transaction. When you reverse it, you have to sell the Japanese money that you have. And then here, after you do the second transaction, you either realize a profit or you realize a loss. If there is a loss, then it will be deducted from your deposit, the 1,000. So this broker is not losing anything. It's your money that is gone. If you make a profit, $200, $300, it will be deposited in your account within 2 days. And that is the spot market in the new age now. They call it spot market, 2 days. They have futures, they have forwards that might take place like within 3 months, the contract for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. But spot market within international market is for 2 days. So if you make a profit for 200, 300, it will come to your account within 2 days. Rasulullah has said this transaction has to take place on the spot, immediately. So there is no immediate delivery. This is the first problem. The second problem, of course, this is something that the non-Muslims who have these companies, these brokers, most of them are non-Muslims, they don't know this problem in our Sharia. They know that Muslims don't deal with interest, which is an increase above the capital. So there is an interest overnight. If you leave the position open, you don't close it on the same day, then they will charge you interest. they tell you we have Islamic accounts for you. So they will remove this interest, overnight fees when you leave the position open. Because they, in their mind, this is the only type of riba. This is their understanding. They don't know that delaying the delivery when you're exchanging currencies is another form of riba. They don't know about it. And there is another form of riba that Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned. He said, do not combine between a sale and a loan. Do not combine. Naha Rasulullah ﷺ an salafin wa bay'. Rasulullah ﷺ has forbidden the combination between a sale and a loan. So this brokers, he's charging you fees for custody services and at the same time giving you a loan. So they don't know about that. In their minds, this is not riba. They don't know about it. So they tell you we have Islamic accounts. You go as a Muslim, you search Islamic account in forex markets and you'll find plenty of them. And they will tell you we have Islamic accounts. So in this market there is no Islamic account because there are many problems. That non-Muslims who open this account, they don't know, they are not aware of them. So Muslims have to be, our young people and people who are involved in this market have to pay attention to these things. Wallahu ta'ala. Can I finish one point? It's okay? Yeah. Okay, the other problem with this market, ya ikhwan, there is a great misallocation of resources that is taking place. When we say misallocation, that means resources, money that belongs to the society is not used in the right way. So they said, Bank of International Settlements from Switzerland issues a report every 3 years. Every 3 years they issue a report about derivatives, markets in the world, in the whole world. And among derivatives, they issue a report about forex, these forex markets. They said in 2010, April 2010, the average amount of money that was traded on a daily basis in 2010 in April, $4 trillion. This is a great misallocation of resources. And this money is not used to create jobs, is used to create projects, is not adding any value to the economy. And the big shots, the big people who are involved in this money, they are big banks. All the big banks in the world, they're involved in this economy. So they said, out of this $4 trillion, 3.5 trillion was used by speculators. Those who come to the market, they don't need the money. They don't have factories. They don't have a business of export import. They are not buying commodities and merchandise and bringing it into the society. They are speculators. They are looking for differences of prices and making money out of it. The ulama, our ulama, rahmatullahi alayhim, they said this money belongs to people. It's your money and my money because we deposit our money in the banks. They are using our money. It should be used to add value to the economy, help people, and no, it is used in this kind of activities. So this is a problem with this market too. As a Muslim, you need to know that there is a great deal of injustice that is taking place and you shouldn't be part of it. And we'll talk about some other issues after the salat, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
So we'll break for Salat al-Maghrib and continue with more, inshallah, after Maghrib.